Hi, friends. Today I want to talk about how this thing called conditioning, that we've brought up many times in many of these video blogs, as well as it's very well discussed everywhere, how our personal conditioning um, plays so many roles in our life, how it helps us really perceive the world. And I'll give you an example. So it's a personal example. I know this one person who recently had a big celebration around a milestone, and they had invited me, but I was unable to go. And so I let them know that I was unable to go because I was tied up elsewhere, but I was super excited for them and that I would be happy to, celebrate with them another time. And so, in so doing, after the event and after I had, been done being busy with what I was busy with, I reached out to them and said, "Hey, hey, do you want to go out and celebrate? And these are some of the dates that I'm available." I didn't hear back for a while, and that's totally okay. Perhaps a week or so later, I heard back a very what seemed like, and we always kind of read an email and we think there's an emotion behind it, and perhaps it's not, it's just our perception again. But what I picked up was a lot of a rush energy in there. Hey, I'm sorry, I just saw this. I'm so running around. I'm just getting ready to go to another thing. I can't do it on any of those dates because I'm also traveling. And that was it. My first impression was, oh my God, that was rude. And then when I took a step back, I thought, well, that's not how I would have responded. And that's where I want to take a pause. That's where conditioning comes in. So perhaps in the way I grew up, and not necessarily have I either lived with people who behave this way or lived people who behave the opposite way, but what I have learned in the way I would have handled it would have been very different from the way this person handled it. I would have shown a lot of gratitude, thanked them for inviting me, and for reminding and for remembering that they had promised that they would celebrate with me, and really said, well, when I'm back, let's do it, but this is a busy time in my life. And neither is good or bad, right? Our brains and our conditioning and our mind and our ego tells us, well, the way they handled it was terrible, and my way is better. And of course, we always want to think we're right, we're better, and they're not. But perhaps they were just rushed, right? Perhaps people often write emails very quickly. And here's another conditioning. I will not respond to an email unless I've got time to fully understand what the person's asking me. Most times. There are times when I rush through it too. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't always do that. But most times I'll try to think through it and then respond when I have time. So, of course, my response may be late too. So I had a lot of understanding and a lot of flexibility around the fact that they had responded later. But what I didn't have the flexibility and what was really coming up clashing for me was the tone that I picked up from that email. And really, doesn't an email have a tone? It's just a string of words. So, in all honesty, what we often do is we judge people, myself included. We criticize people, not based on who they are. We do it based on how different their conditioning, their ego is from our conditioning. So the further apart somebody is in their conditioning compared to mine, the more I'm going to deem them bad, wrong, choosing pathways that are, antisocial, rude, whatever. All of those words are going to come up when really none of those apply. Um, and in the end, if that person was upset at me, so what, right? In the end, it is them demonstrating to me, um, perhaps this is how they speak to themselves in a very rushed way. Perhaps their lives are really busy. Um, Perhaps they really don't care to celebrate with me, and that's all okay. It doesn't make them a bad person, doesn't make me a bad person. It just helps me understand, um, this is a person who perhaps does not have a lot of interest in my company, and that's okay. It's okay because I have a lot of interest in my company, and perhaps they have interest in other people's companies, and that's where it can become accepting. And so I'm working with this word accepting a lot. Um, and I feel like, again, acceptance is not, gritting your teeth and saying, I need to accept this because that's the right thing to do. Acceptance is seeing the difference between what my conditioning is saying is right or wrong, and seeing the difference between how someone else has presented themselves or the situation to me, and being okay with that variability, being okay with that difference of, this is how they've responded, this is what the situation feels like, this is how I would have responded, these are the feelings that came up in me immediately, and I'm going to accept all of it. I'm going to accept how they behaved. Perhaps it was disengaging. I'm going to accept how I felt. I felt not validated. And then go down maybe some of the rabbit holes. Well, why did I need to be validated by this person? As long as I validate myself, I did a really nice thing by reaching out. And perhaps they're doing other things, and that's okay. It's all okay. It's all things that can be accepted as just being human, right? We all are conditioned in certain ways, and my conditioning definitely is those rosy glasses, if I'd like to call them rosy glasses, that then make me make a separation between me and them, um, and cause the contempt and the criticism and the judgment. But if I fully see it and take those glasses off and I say, that's how they chose to behave, maybe I would have done it differently, no right, no wrong, this is how I understand it. I'm just going to leave it all out on the table and not give it any kind of judgment. And really then hold parts of me that perhaps felt hurt, because really I was put on this earth to take care of myself and to understand myself and to look at those heavy feelings and heavy emotions when they come up, because it had nothing to do with that person. They weren't even around when I was growing up. It has everything to do with how I feel validated. It has everything to do with what I consider to be grateful and what I consider to be disengaging or dismissive. So next time someone blows you off or brings you to a place where you're really standing up against your conditioning versus their behavior, it is a great opportunity for acceptance. It is a great opportunity to understand how you have been conditioned and to really go down that rabbit hole of, well, this is my conditioning. It doesn't make them right or me wrong or the situation right or wrong. It's just conditioning that's coming up. And that conditioning is bringing up heavy emotions. And then I'm wanting to behave in ways that are not accepting. Think about it.